Welcome to 365 Christian Men, where every day we aim to inspire and encourage with real-life stories about men. December 17th, Brian Hardin. Brian Hardin founded the Daily Audio Bible Podcast, which has been downloaded 40 million times, and he founded Four Winds Mission, an artistic, socially conscious community of faith in Tennessee. He is an accomplished record producer, filmmaker, photographer, narrator, and a skillful graphic designer. Zondervan asked Brian to write a book for adults about the Bible, and on this date, in 2011, Brian published Passages: How Reading the Bible in a Year Will Change Everything for You. But Brian experienced hard times too. About one of those times, he said, "I was raised a Christian and even grew up a pastor's son, but after 20 years in the music business, I was living a comfortable, semi-agnostic life. I didn't really know God." That's where today's story starts.
Religion can harden a man, but relationship with God transforms him. Brian Hardin prayed, "God, if you'll speak to me for yourself, I'm listening." The house was still, and he settled into the couch that evening. With his family out of town, he sat alone with his thoughts and an uncomfortable tension that had been growing in his heart toward God. He lifted one of the several family Bibles from the coffee table in front of him and slowly flipped through the pages. Hardin wrestled with the awareness that he had never actually read the entire Bible from cover to cover. He leaned back on the couch and suddenly realized that everything he had ever learned about God, his entire life of faith, had been secondhand. As what he thought was a devout believer for most of his life, church had been the center of his life and his family. He had dedicated himself to learning about God, but always through someone else's interpretation. In that quiet moment, he recognized that he was familiar with bits and pieces of the Bible. He was living the life of what some people thought of as a good Christian, but his heart still ached for something more. Brian thought to himself, "Is this all there is to being a Christian? If so, I'm not sure I can do this the rest of my life." He lifted his eyes from the Bible and he looked around the living room. Pictures of his beautiful wife and family caught his attention. How could he lead the family that God had entrusted to him? How could he lead them into an authentic Christian faith if he did not know the God of the Bible for himself? And how could he get to know God for himself in a more meaningful way? In frustration, he closed his eyes. "God, if you're going to speak for yourself through your word, I will read the whole Bible," Hardin prayed. Then he opened his eyes, opened his heart, and opened his Bible to the very first page. Genesis, chapter 1. The first three words he read, "In the beginning." Those three words felt like a prophecy, like a new beginning for Hardin. He had read these words before, but tonight they landed differently in his heart. This time, he was not reading to get to know the Bible. He was reading to know the God of the Bible. In that moment, something changed for Hardin. He realized that God wanted to reveal himself through the Bible, that God wanted to build a relationship with him through his word, and that God had given us the Bible to get to know him. The more I learned God's word, the more I came to understand that knowing the Bible, becoming a theologian, wasn't the ultimate goal in life. It was getting to know the God of the Bible through knowing his word. Psalm 119 tells us, "Open my eyes to see wonderful things in your word. I am a stranger on earth. Do not hide your commands from me." Today, as you have heard this story, are you like Brian? Are you living on a secondhand faith that is resulting in a secondhand relationship with God? Do you know bits and pieces of the Bible, and are you trying to be just a good Christian? Like Brian, does your heart long for more? Today, will you take a step and seek to know God as you read His Word? Religion can harden a man, but relationship with God transforms him.
Thank you for listening to today's story. Every day of the year, our hope is to inspire you with real-life stories of faithful men who have gone before us. For today's story, we have a free one-page group discussion sheet available on our website. Please join us tomorrow for another story at 365christianmen.com.